Hi guys, Laura here. So today I'm doing a follow-up video on a video I did over a year ago talking about my adoption reunion story gone bad. And I think recently YouTube put it in people's recommended watch page or something because the views and the comments just skyrocketed. It was insane. So I can't keep up with all of the comments. Normally I like to respond to people's comments, but there's just too many that come in every day. I read them all, but I can't respond to them. So I find that people are asking the same questions over and over or making the same comments. So I thought I would do a video and respond to those common questions and comments so that I can at least answer people's curiosity on what's happening now or what happened back then. So I'm going to go through the list. But I do want to say first, I want to start off by saying that I do read every comment and I really appreciate people taking the time to comment and share their stories with me. It's just been really lovely and people have emailed me and it's just been a really, really fantastic experience. It's been very healing actually. So the number one thing that people say is, you must hate your birth parents, or they say, you know, your birth parents are evil people, your birth parents are horrible, all of that sort of stuff. And what I say is that no, I don't hate them, because I don't think that one action defines a person. So what they did was not really cool. The way that they handled it was not a good way to handle the situation. But they reacted the way that they did at the time. It was very emotional for them, I'm sure. And, you know, maybe they regret the way they handled it. I don't know. But I'm not going to judge them and say that they're evil people or they're bad people, because we've all done things in our lives that, you know, we wish maybe we hadn't done or we'd done differently. And I certainly wouldn't want people to judge me based on one action. And so I also choose not to have hate in my heart for people because it doesn't do me any good. It doesn't benefit me. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm genetically related to them. And so hating them means hating a part of myself. And I refuse to do that. So no, I don't hate them. I don't think they're bad people. You shouldn't either, because we don't know them. I don't know them. So I can't say whether they're good or bad. What they did did not feel good. The action did not feel good. But, you know, so let's remember that. They're not necessarily bad people. They just maybe made a bad decision. And I don't even say that it's a bad decision that they didn't want to have contact with me. It was just a bad decision the way that they handled me sending them the letter. They could have just wrote back and said, yes, you found us. We're really sorry we can't deal with having a relationship with you, or we can't deal with being in contact with you. You know, we're sorry and we wish you well. And that I was prepared to accept. I was prepared to accept that they didn't want a relationship with me. I was not prepared to accept how cruel they handled the situation. And so I just wanted to be clear that I don't think that them not wanting to see me was bad. I think that them handling it the way they did was bad. Okay, have you tried to contact them again? Yes. Just after my mom died, I was alone as far as I didn't have a brother to help me or a father. And so I had to write my mom's obituary. And I had no idea how to do this. So I was Googling obituaries and I came across one that the name looked familiar. It was my birth father's name. And so I looked at it and it turns out that his father had passed away the day before my mom did. And so I was really hurting and really emotional. My mom died very suddenly, so everything was just kind of on the surface. And so I decided to send him a condolence card because I was hurting. Like, the loss of a parent is horrible. So that's all I did. I sent a condolence card saying, you know, I'm really sorry. I explained how I came across the obituary and just to let them know that, you know, I had lost my mom and yeah, and that was that. And so I didn't hear back from them after that, which again is fine. did you keep in touch with your grandmother or brothers? This is a question that I get asked a lot. So, just after this happened, I talked to my grandmother on the phone, and I said, I don't understand. Like, everyone's happy that I'm in contact with you guys. Why would this happen? I don't get it. And my grandmother said, I don't understand it either. I don't get it either. But she said, I have to respect my daughter's wishes, and I can't have contact with you. And I was devastated. I was thinking, why wouldn't we be able to have contact? Or at least just meet once? And, part of me is thinking, like, she's an adult. She should be able to make the decision of who she wants to have a relationship with. But then I thought, if my daughter was hurting over a situation, I'd probably stand behind my daughter, and I don't know, I can't say for sure because I'm not in her shoes. So again, going along with the theme of I'm trying not to judge people because I don't know why they make the decisions that they make, and maybe they have a good reason for it. And maybe I would do the same thing if I was in her shoes. I don't know. I'm heartbroken because I wish that she would, just say, I want to see her, but there's nothing that I can do. I did try and contact her a few years later. Well, it was many, many years later. I had just wrote a book. My book was published, and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm a published author. She would probably be proud of me. And there was an article written in the newspaper, and so I had sent it to her, and nothing. She didn't respond to me. And I just think, I don't know, I guess I just wanted somebody to be proud of me. And sorry, it's just hard because my mom passed away before I wrote the book, and before my company grew the way that it has. And so it's just sad that that she wasn't around. So anyway, and so I never heard back, which again is fine. Did I keep in touch with my brothers? Well, at the time, they were teenagers. They were young, so their parents said they couldn't have contact with me. Of course they're not going to have contact with me. Years later, when they were adults, I did find them on Facebook, and I reached out to the brother who had originally wrote to me, and he just said, I'm sorry, I can't have contact with you. My parents won't accept it. Meanwhile, he's still going off of the conversation he had when he was 16. It's not like he went to his parents and asked permission again. It just was a conversation that wasn't brought up. My other brother, who is the youngest one, I had reached out to him, and at first he said, I can't have contact with you. And I said, okay. I said, but I just want to let you know the story. Here's what happened back in the day. And he was really upset. He didn't realize that his parents had been so cruel about the way they handled the situation. And so he said, look, I want to meet you. I don't care what my parents... No, he definitely didn't say I don't care what my parents said. He said, I can't be a road into the family. Like, I can't let my parents know, but I still want to meet you. And so we met. He was living in a city that is where my husband was from. So when we went out to visit his mom, I connected with my youngest brother, and it was so strange. It was like we had been siblings our whole life. Like, we just had this crazy instant bond, and we talked on the phone all the time, and I saw him whenever I went up to Edmonton. It was fantastic. And my son, he hated anybody holding him. He would not tolerate anybody. He barely tolerated his dad, but he would let my brother hold him. And it was kind of nice to have that family. And but then, not that long ago, he kind of broke up with me in a really, really cruel way. And he basically said that it was just too risky to have a relationship with me because he is feeling guilty. He talks to his parents all the time, and then he has this relationship with me, and he feels like he's going behind their backs, which part of me is thinking, well, you're an adult though. You know, you can make your own decisions, and you can let them know, you know, I respect that you don't want to see her, but I do, and I won't, you know, talk about it, but I just don't want to hide it from you. But neither one of my brothers, for whatever reason, and they're both in their 30s now, won't do that. So anyways, he was actually really hurtful. I can't really say what he said because I do have younger viewers that watch, but it was basically along the lines of having a relationship with you is like having a unsafe relationship with a lady of the evening. It's just too risky. So think about it. He didn't put it in those words. He put it in more vulgar terms and said having a relationship with me is just too risky. Anyway, it broke my heart, but again, if he's not feeling secure in his life and the decision that he made, he's entitled to that decision. And I'm sad, and my kids are sad because they had a relationship with him, and now they don't. And so, but you know, he said to me, that if his mom dies before his dad, that he'll introduce me to his dad. So I guess he thinks that his mom is I don't want to say the problem. His mom is the one that doesn't want to see me, but his dad might, and he's just supporting his wife. But my other brothers, he doesn't know. He doesn't think that. So I don't know if that's the case, but I believe that my brothers will probably want to have a relationship with me after my parents die, but they're young. So that will be quite some time from now. But, you know, again, who knows? Who knows what the future holds? Some people say, okay, maybe your birth father isn't really your birth father. And for that I say it would be crazy if he wasn't, because I look exactly like him. It's insane. My brother and I look like we could be twins. When we first met, we couldn't even really look each other in the face because it was bizarre seeing somebody who looked so much like you. And I really look like that side of the family, so I would be really surprised if it wasn't him. And of course, that's what the adoption papers said. That's what my grandmother said. So I don't think it's another situation as far as him not being my birth father. Okay, some people say they gave you up for a reason, so you should never have looked for them. And to that I say, back in the 70s, a lot of teenagers were almost forced to give their babies up for adoption, or they just didn't have the resources that they do now, where they can actually keep their babies. It was a lot harder. So women did give their babies up, and they are looking for them now. I have a sister-in-law who gave a child up for adoption, and she's looking for her, and she would be so happy to find her. So just because they gave me up did not mean like they didn't want me in their lives ever. And okay, I realize they don't, but there is a possibility that they did. So it's not true that just because they gave you up means they didn't want you. It just means at the time they couldn't keep you. So yes, I don't understand why people say that. I mean, for the most part, people have been lovely, like so lovely. But then of course you get the trolls that, I mean, on every video you get just trolls, and it's hurtful because it's such an emotional topic, but you know, what can you do? People are gonna be people. But anyway, so that's that. Okay, so some people say some biological parents treat their children like garbage, and that's worse than being adopted. So yeah, that's terrible. And I wasn't sharing my story to get sympathy. I was sharing my story because I wanted other people who are going through this to not feel so alone, because most times you don't have contact with people in your life who have had this particular experience. And I know for a fact that it was meaningful to some people, and it really meant something, because people have emailed me lovely, lovely emails saying thank you, they feel less alone, they went through the same thing, and it's really hard, and just seeing that other people have gone through that and reading the comments where other people have shared their stories is lovely. So that's why I shared the story. Number one, I didn't share the story because I wanted sympathy, nor was I saying that my problems make your problems not as big. I would never ever say that. My daughter once said to me, Mom, if somebody were to drown in the ocean, in the middle of the ocean, or somebody were to drown in a 6-inch puddle, they're still both dead. And if somebody were to break their leg or get burned, they're still in pain. Like, the pain is there. And so to say that my pain is worse than your pain, it is not really fair. Everybody's feelings are valid. Like, whatever you're feeling, whatever hurts you're feeling, they're valid. And so I'm not taking away from anybody else's hurt. And believe me, I know that there are worse things in the world that have happened to people, and it's horrible, and I would not want that experience for sure. But just because I said I have a great relationship with my mom, you'll notice that I never talk about my dad. And that's because I actually had a really terrible childhood. It was horrible, so horrible, in fact, that my brother chose to end his life because it was just bad. It was bad. And it wasn't until my mom left my dad that things, started getting better. But I choose not to talk about it, at least right now. I don't want to sort of dwell in what happened in the past, but yeah, just because I choose to focus on the positive and the great relationship that I did have with my mother didn't mean that I didn't have some horrific things happen when I was a child. Overall, I just want to say I'm sorry if anybody has had hurts in their life. I wish that we could all have rosy experiences, but we don't. But me sharing my experiences definitely not taking away from your hurt, and your hurt is valid and horrible for some people, and for that, my heart breaks for you, and I'm sorry. So I hope you don't feel that as I said, that I would think that my story is worse than anybody else's, but everyone's feelings are valid, so there's that. Okay, so a lot of people say that medical information isn't a reason to search, especially in today's day and age of technology. And well, I searched over 20 years ago, so there was no DNA testing back then. There was nothing like that. And I did say, one of the worst things is going to the doctor and not being able to, they ask you your medical history, your family's history, and you're not able to fill out the form. You just have to say adopted. And it is hard, and it does suck. And somebody once almost attacked me for it because, oh yes, that's the worst thing that could happen. And I wasn't saying that's the worst thing that could happen in the world. I was saying that it's horrible when you do go to the doctor that you can't share more information. It just kind of highlights the fact that you don't know anything about your genetic background every single time you go to fill out forms at a doctor. So, but the one thing I do want to say about that is I was diagnosed a few years ago with a brain tumor, and it's benign, it's not malignant. But there's a possibility that it can grow. There's a possibility that it can bleed. So we have to keep an eye on it. I know the symptoms, that if I start having these symptoms, I do have to go to the hospital because they'll have to treat it. And we do MRIs regularly just to make sure that everything is still stable. But the type that I have, there's two kinds. There's one that is just because it is just there, and there's one that's genetic. So you could have it because your parents have had it, or it's in your genes. but there's no medical test for that will tell that differentiates between the two. The only way to know is if you have had a family member that has it. And so if it is the genetic kind, that means that my children have a 50% chance of having it as well. And, so I'm feeling almost guilty that this could be a possibility for them, because it kind of sucks having this, dealing with this. But that means that we would have to have them monitored as well, and have, them have an MRI or something. But, every time my son says he has a headache, I'm thinking, oh no, does he have this? And I guess the only way to know is if they do an MRI or if they have symptoms. So I don't know, I just think that it would cause a lot of relief for me knowing which one it is, and if any of my family members have had it. So there is a reason to medically find your birth parents, at least in my case. What else? I have them all written down here. So, why would you want to search for your birth family if you had a good relationship with your mom? So it has nothing, like searching for your birth family has nothing to do with the relationship with your adoptive family, or like the love that I have for my mom. It has nothing to do with that. It just has this, like, you have this curiosity of, where you came from. And unless you're in that situation, unless you've experienced that yourself, it's really hard to describe what I'm talking about. But it's just this crazy need to I don't know, see what they look like, see what their voices sound like, see what they smell like even. I know that sounds bizarre, but just like, just see them. And I know that seeing my brother was amazing, and just seeing that, how we look alike and all of that stuff. I don't know, I think other people in the comments have commented on that, and it's really hard to put it into words, the feeling that you have wanting to know where you came from, like genetically. And it has nothing to do with the love I had for my mom, and thankfully she was secure. So if you're an adoptive parent, I just really want to let you know that if your child does want to search for their birth parents, it has nothing to do with the love they have for you. And you will always be their parent. My mom was always going to be forever and ever my mom. Nobody could ever replace that. And I always hate when people find out that I'm adopted and then they start calling her my adoptive mom. No, she's my mom. And yeah, nothing will ever change that. And so if you meet somebody who's adopted, and you don't have to start calling their parents their adoptive parents. They're their parents. They're the people who raised them, who sat with them when they were sick, who held their hair back when they were throwing up, who hugged them through their first breakup, who put food on the table and clothes on their back. Those are the parents. Those are your parents, their parents. So just know that it has nothing to do with their love for you. And yeah, so okay. And some people say, just let it go. Clearly it's still eating you up inside. And two things. Number one, you can't just let it go. Like, you can't let something like that go. It is always going to be a hurt in my heart. I don't think it'll ever get over it. But it's not something that eats me up every day. It's not something that affects my life on a daily basis. When I did that video, it was a moment in time where I was feeling a little bit sad and thinking, if I'm feeling this way, other people are probably feeling the same way. And so I just wanted to put it out there to let other people know that they're not alone. But yeah, and I got a little bit choked on the video, but it really had nothing to do, that's not me on a daily basis. I'm very happy, and I am feel very blessed that I have the family that I do have and the friends who are my family. I'm completely lucky for that. But yeah, it's something, I'll never get over it. It was a hurt that happened that is just, it's horrible. Like to be rejected, like to feel like you're rejected as a baby and then to be rejected again as an adult, you can't even imagine that pain. It is so hurtful. But yeah, I'm not, it doesn't eat me up inside every day. So for me to get over it, trust me, I'm good. I'm okay. I think that's it. I think that's most of the questions. So the video camera just shut off, and when I went to turn it back on, I saw that my cat was on the table, and he is not supposed to be on the table, so I don't know how long he's been there since we were talking. But yeah, he knows he's not supposed to be on the table. So if you saw my cat on the table, this is not something that I allow. I hate it. So yes, anyways. I just had to say that because he was like right there when I got up. So yeah, anyway, I just want to say that I do really, really appreciate all of the comments that people are leaving and the stories that they're sharing and the love that people are sending. It's really, really amazing. And I've been through therapy before, and I have to say this has been the best therapy because it just I feel less alone. I not that I like hearing other people's stories, but I like hearing that my experience isn't unique, that it's not me. Like I felt for the longest time that it was me. And so seeing other people share their stories, I don't know, it's hard to explain. But the best thing for me that happened was birth moms who have commented and have shared what it's like to give a child up and how they come to feel. That made sense to me. Like it just kind of finally, I got it. And this one birth mom, she commented, and I actually pinned it to the top of the comment section, because I think that if you've gone through this, it is really helpful reading it, because it was the first time that I understood why my birth parents maybe did what they did and why they don't want to see me. It was the first time that it kind of made sense to me. And I don't know, it was just like I get it. So I'm really grateful. I'm just really grateful. I'm grateful for the people who have been emailing me, and I'm grateful that I have made a difference in people's lives by sharing. And I'm just I'm thankful. It's been a really interesting experience, and to connect with people all over the world and just get love from people. It's fantastic. So anyway, I think that's it. I think I didn't miss anything. I'm sure as I go to edit this video, I'll think, I should have said that. But I think I got the point across that I wanted to get across, and that's it. Be sure to subscribe to my channel to be notified when I do post videos. And those of you who already subscribed, thank you so much for joining me on the journey that I'm on. And that's it, guys. I hope you have a great day. Bye for now.